Now, from Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 News at 5.
Coming up tonight, another down day for stocks as fears of a global recession spook Wall Street.
Plus, dozens of organizations came together today to help the homeless community here in Lincoln. But first tonight,
I was pretty hurt to hear about it just because I've gone there for so long.
Some backlash after a Lincoln faith-based nonprofit enforces its standards. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We're talking about City Impact. Recently, it started to enforce stricter guidelines based on their beliefs.
that didn't sit well with everyone as they have severed ties with the organization, forcing it to cancel some of its services. Here are the latest details in tonight's top story. Some staff and volunteers say they've left City Impact because of their ministry standards. Those standards say in part, any sexual relationship beyond sex in a heterosexual marriage constitutes sexual immorality. Former staff say the nonprofit has different expectations of its leaders, board members, and employees. Nebraska Examiner reports they should only engage in sexual relations with a spouse of the opposite sex, refrain from gossip, angry outbursts, profanity, and drug or alcohol abuse.
I just decided it wasn't a good fit for me to be there anymore because I could no longer justify standing by those actions that would ultimately cause me to let people who are volunteering and leading within the community go.
Diane Williams is a member of the LGBTQ community. She participated in City Impact's programming since she was in 4th grade. She says she was invited to come back as a volunteer after graduating high school. She volunteered this summer and also applied for a paid internship. She says she didn't hear back until last week. She says a staff member told her she couldn't participate anymore.
When I volunteered there, it wasn't on the form, anything like that. A lot of people are saying that I was supposed to expect it because it's faith-based, but when I've started this relationship, everybody was really inclusive, inviting, supporting. So it was really shocking when the news came out.
Now, we just finished an interview not long ago with City Impact Executive Director Christy Goodwin. We asked her about the ministry standards and the loss of staff there. We're going to hear her thoughts tonight at 6 o'clock. The Lincoln Homeless Coalition put on its annual project Connect Lincoln today. The event hosted about 80 different organizations.
They provide supplies and a variety of services for the homeless community and anyone in need. The event was held at Pinnacle Bank Arena and had several hundred volunteers helping to provide food, haircuts, immunizations, healthcare services, employment resources, and even veterinary services for pets. One of the event chairs said the goal is to help get people out of homelessness and prevent anyone else from becoming homeless.
This event really takes a lot of collaboration, and it really showcases all the work of the Lincoln Homeless Coalition and how much we work together. And we had a line out the door when we started, and so we're just happy that so many people are coming back. We've held this event for 12 years, but we had a pause because of the pandemic, so we're just happy to be holding the event again this year.
Volunteers expected about 600 people at the event today, but anyone who missed it can find services available in Lincoln through the MyLink app, which can be found in this story at KOKNTV.com. And like those organizations in the city today, Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach is preparing for the upcoming season to help those in need.
Channel 8's Danielle Kaiser has more on how the organization is preparing.
As the winter season comes upon us here at Matt Talbot's, we are always looking for donations of sleeping bags, tents, blankets, hats, and gloves.
Director of Housing and Outreach Programs Leanne Pelser says community help is always needed and anything helps.
Anything that can help somebody who may be having to sleep outdoors or without utilities stay warm.
Pelser said many don't know a way to help is as simple as partnering with the landlord to provide stable housing for those in need.
The biggest thing that the community could do to help us with those that is to help partner as a landlord or property management company to partner with us in trying to help those who are experiencing a housing crisis to get indoors. We are here to help people succeed and sustain their housing.
She said as the colder season enters, Helping the local community is the call to action.
If there's people in need in their community, give without hesitation of what they're going to use it for. Allow the person to make that decision and give a kind smile and a warm greeting, because you never know when that's just what that person needed to move on with their day.
Reporting in Lincoln, Danielle Kaiser, Channel 8 News.
And speaking of caring for others, an update today on Nebraska helping our children.
Today, the governor designated September as Child Welfare Development Month. Leaders from Nebraska's Health and Human Services joined the governor at the Capitol. They all highlighted the state's work to build a strong team to promote child well-being. During the pandemic, Nebraska saw a significant increase in child welfare cases.
We know with the pandemic that it had an impact on families. We saw that we had 29% increase in child welfare cases here in the state of Nebraska between July of 2019 and October of 2021.
Some of the ways the state is addressing that increase is continuing to hire more caseworkers, as well as putting more money into the department through carryover money and American Rescue Plan dollars. And as we get closer to the November election, Channel 8 is hosting a debate between the two candidates for Congressional District 1, Representative Mike Flood and State Senator Patty Pansing-Brooks.
That's right. I'm going to be moderating the hour-long debate at UNL. It's going to air at 5 p.m. this Sunday. It's going to include questions from District 1 residents along with UNL students. We have a link to submit your questions. It's up on our website, klcantv.com. On Wall Street today, the S&P 500 hit a new low for the year. All three major indices, the S&P, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, are now in a bear market.
But investors say there are some bright spots in the economy, with a new survey showing consumers are getting more optimistic. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze explains.
Another down day for stocks as fears of a global recession spook Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is now officially in a bear market, down more than 20% from its recent high.
We've gone through quite a roller coaster in the markets over the course of this entire year.
The sell-off has been sparked by aggressive interest rate hikes from the Federal Reserve in its fight to tame inflation. Higher borrowing costs are now rippling through the economy. Fifth-grade teacher Wesley Robinson and his family started building a new home in Arkansas last year when interest rates were close to 3%.
With the low interest rates, we thought, hey, now if we're going to ever upgrade, now's the time.
But as the pandemic stalled construction and the Fed kept raising rates, their new home only got more expensive. Their mortgage rate ending up at 5% instead of 3%.
It was frustrating, and it did add, I don't know, $300-400 to the, potentially monthly costs to our mortgage.
Even as consumers stare down higher interest rates, a new survey shows confidence in the economy is rising thanks to a strong jobs market and a decline in the price of gas from its recent high.
When you feel like, hey, it cost me $40 instead of $60 to fill up my tank, you feel better about those other things you need to purchase and want to purchase. And I think that's driving a lot of this.
Now, financial advisors say it's important to have a long-term perspective on the stock market to weather out these patches of uncertainty. Some advisors add that if you're really worried about the drop in stocks, you could consider putting some of your investments into bonds, which have higher yields right now as interest rates go up. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Time to head over to Chief Meteorologist Rusty Dawkins with your first forecast. And Rusty, a very comfortable day.
Yeah, it was nice to get outside. Temperatures were a little above average. We had plenty of sunshine, very low dew points. It was just a kind of a warm late September day, but 82 degrees in the capital city for a high today so far, 80 in North Platte, and just about everybody was right around that range. A little cooler towards Des Moines in the upper 60s and a little warmer the further south you went, but overall pretty mild day. Outside right now, Shones Roofing Cam in Beatrice is seeing a lot of sunshine, a mixture of clouds and sun, just a few high clouds out there. Current temperatures still in the 70s and 80s, still 80 in Grand Island, 81 in Lincoln, dropped into the 70s in Nebraska City at 79, still 83 in McCook. But look at these dew points, 30s and 40s, 42 for a dew point in Lincoln, 37 in Norfolk, 36 in O'Neill, 35 in Broken Bow. So very, very low humidity. Satellite radar just really quiet, maybe a few of those high clouds. That's about it. So tonight we'll drop into eventually the 40s by early tomorrow morning. And then as we head through the day tomorrow, we will see another day in the 70s, but just barely. I think most of us will be in the upper 60s for a good portion of the afternoon, briefly getting into the lower 70s. So a cooler than average day tomorrow, but we do see a warm up as we head through the next several days and into the weekend. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Rusty. Speaking of the weekend, Nebraska football is coming off a bye week, of course, ahead of Saturday's game against Indiana.
And during that week, talk of who will be the Huskers' next official head coach continued to be a hot topic. Channel 8's Lauren Michelson is in studio here with us with what Mickey Joseph said about the search and more. Lauren?
Yeah, you guys, according to Joseph, this bye week was plenty valuable to Nebraska. The coaches themselves spent the week on the road for some recruiting trips while the players got some much needed downtime. But now that they're back to practice and looking towards this weekend, Joseph had the chance to share his thoughts on the coaching search.
We always talk about blocking out the noise. So we're not going to worry about who the search firm's talking to, because like I said before, Nebraska deserves to have a national search. And like our interviews right now, you know, the next 8 games, that's your interview. So we can't do anything about that. And we also talk to them, control what you can control. We can't control that. So we're going to block out the noise and we're going to focus on Indiana.
And Joseph's definitely approached the next 8 games as if he's gearing up for his own interview, from firing Shenander and hiring Bush to changing around practice, even recruiting as if he will be here next season. All in all, Joseph knows how important a win on Saturday is, and so do the players.
We don't have a choice but to come out and win. So for me, you can't let everything, you know, detour your mind off of the main thing. The main thing always has to stay the main thing. And I would say that's pretty much where we've been trying to keep everybody's head out in the locker room. We know that the coaches we have on the staff are great people. They're great coaches, so we just got to trust them.
There's plenty to unpack from Joseph and players today. We'll get into that, along with what John Cook had to say ahead of Husker volleyball's road trip during Sports Today at 6 o'clock.
Looking forward to it, Lauren. Thank you very much. Still to come here on the news at 5, Hurricane Ian gaining strength and closing in on Florida.
More than 2.5 million people are under evacuation orders. The latest plus your full forecast right after the break. Channel Now to Hurricane Ian, where Florida residents are scrambling to make last-minute preparations.
Ian growing to a Category 3 storm overnight and battering Cuba with heavy winds, storm surges, and flooding. ABC's Morgan Norwood is in Tampa, Florida.
Hurricane Ian, a major storm still gaining strength, now closing in on Florida. Overnight, Ian creeping over Cuba, lashing the country with devastating storm surge, wind, and rain. South Florida already feeling the impacts. Heavy rain drenching downtown Miami and arriving in the Florida Keys. Ian forecast to thrash Florida's west coast near the Tampa area and area south. Fort Myers now added to the potential danger zone.
It is a big storm. It is going to kick up a lot of water as it comes in, and you're going to end up with really significant storm surge. You're going to end up with really significant flood events. And this is the type of storm surge that is life-threatening.
A mandatory evacuation has been ordered. Please leave this area.
More than 2.5 million people under evacuation orders. In the Tampa area, traffic slowing to a crawl as Floridians scramble to safety. The mayor of St. Petersburg with this message for those taking their chances by not evacuating.
If you're in an evac zone, you need to move. You will be on your own at some point if you're in an evac zone and you choose not to move.
As time runs out, residents racing to prepare. The Gonzalez family boarding up their home before getting out.
It's time to maybe put up the plywood. We got sandbags and all kinds of anti-flooding devices that we're going to set up here in a little while.
And in Tampa's Hillsborough County, an hour wait just to fill sandbags, others taking from local beaches.
Floridians are going to experience the impacts from this storm for a very long time.
In addition to the storm surge, forecasters are also concerned about the flooding from Ian. Even inland areas, including Orlando, could get up to 2 feet of rain. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Tampa, Florida.
Now, your Storm Alert team forecast with Chief Meteorologist Rusty Dawkins.
So here's a quick look at the projected path of Hurricane Ian, Category 3, 4, and making landfall just south of Tampa. If you remember yesterday, it was closer to the northern side of Tampa, and now models have it a little further south. But really, Category 4 making landfall on Florida, that is not going to be a good thing. This will eventually make its way onto land, still a Category 1 as it makes its way across central Florida. So that's as of 8:30. Thursday morning. So this is not the best case scenario, unfortunately, but there's still a chance things will differ as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours. These are model runs, just kind of giving an idea of the general direction and where these models think that the hurricane's going to make landfall. And this is guidance, and it's kind of like snowfall potential. You don't just pick one and go with it. You just kind of look at all of them and get a general feel for what's going to happen. And some of them will steer you in the wrong direction. Like this one just has it going way fast, way to the north and east. So likely not going to happen. But the general direction and area from Tampa south, so this area is the best chance for it to make landfall. So it's unfortunately not the best thing in the world for them to see, but we'll keep an eye on it and hoping for the best for everybody in Florida. Now for us, this is the forecast for tomorrow morning. 40s and 50s to the west, lower 40s in central Nebraska and most of eastern Nebraska, but notice the blue trying to creep in from Iowa, 39 in Norfolk, maybe a little bit colder the further north and east you go. Because of that, frost advisories between Sioux City and Omaha, just a handful of counties here, but it is going to be a little chilly early tomorrow morning, especially the further north and east you go. There's even some freeze warnings in portions of Minnesota, but that's far enough away that we won't have to worry about that. Penner Bathing Solutions showing lots of sunshine, a few high clouds out there in Aurora. It's warm, 81 degrees. It's 81 degrees, and I'm talking about frost advisories all in the same breath. 79 in Yankee Hill Road, 79 Firth, 77 in Milford. Zoom out a little bit and show you that just about everybody in the middle and upper 70s and lower 80s. A comfortable afternoon, especially with dew points in the 30s and 40s. So it's a dry heat. Satellite radar showing just a few of those thin high clouds. Chilly as we head through overnight into early tomorrow morning. High pressure bringing with it that cold air. That'll eventually go by the wayside, lots of sunshine. We'll warm up nicely tomorrow. It'll be a little bit warmer as we head towards the end of the week because of this warm front, but we are going to see temperatures start off a little on the chilly side early tomorrow morning and then rebound nicely. So there's your 40s and cooler to the north and east. Notice the blues out there. So, but a lot of us in the lower 40s, 41 degrees in Lincoln, mostly clear, a chilly start to the day. And then we rebound, but still below average. We should be in the middle 70s. We'll be in the lower 70s, 71, 71s, a lot of 71s out there. Mostly sunny skies, just a little cool, and a southeast breeze at 10 to 20 miles per hour. We warm right back up though. Thursday, 78, and then into the 80s. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Small chance at a little rain Monday and Tuesday early next week. Temperatures around normal for a good portion of next week. Middle 70s for just about each day. So a very quiet 10-day forecast. That tends to happen though. When there's a big storm somewhere else and it's not around us, that usually means we have kind of a quiet period, and that's what's happening now. You have the hurricane in and around the Florida area, very quiet around here. So, and it doesn't look like that's going to impact us at all. Around here, very quiet for the next several days.
All right, thank you very much, Rusty. A split day on Wall Street today, the Dow falling 126 points, NASDAQ up just 27, S&P falling 8. Here are your numbers. You're watching Channel 8, Nebraska's trusted news source. Finally tonight, a man breaks an epic skydiving record in his state. Bats ruin a school dance, and NASA is making history.
Jeremy Roth has tonight's Take a Look at This. It's a plane. It's a Kentucky man. It's a Kentucky man jumping out of a plane a record number of times in the Bluegrass State and in just 12 hours. Mike Bratcher, a retired Air Force veteran and skydiving instructor, initially wanted to jump 60 times in one day for his 60th birthday.
And then I got to researching what the record was for Kentucky, and I saw that it was 80. And I thought, well, I'm not going to get that close and not go for the record.
Oh, he went for it all right. Bratcher ended up jumping a record-breaking 100 times. Oh, rats. Bats! The flying mammals, bats, not rats, snuck into this high school in Davis, California. The uninvited guests postponing the school's homecoming dance after the school district couldn't get the bats to scat in time for the big bash.
I was kind of just like, bats? Like, that's kind of crazy. What?
And finally, a NASA spacecraft has successfully slammed into an asteroid. Yes, on purpose. And it's a good thing. The DART mission is humanity's first test of planetary defense, and us Earthlings are now seeing some of the first images of the asteroid impact from ground-based telescopes.
Yeah, I think the Earthlings should sleep better. Definitely I will.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? Like the people working here, we're definitely going to sleep better.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
It's amazing they can do that, Rusty. I know you were talking about it on social media. Really something I know you said you never thought you'd see.
Yeah, if you would have told me 20 years ago that this was going to be something, and they had video of it,
I know.
I would have said that it would never happen, and here we are looking at it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Also amazing, this weather. Okay. 71 degrees on Wednesday, and then upper 70s, lower 80s as we head through and into the weekend. A lot of 70s on that 10-day forecast.
All right, thank you, Rusty, and thank you all for joining us.
World News is next. We'll see you back here at 6.
With the Channel 8 News mobile app, you'll be the first to know. Get alerts about